Hey there, welcome in. My name is Mike DeJohn, and this is Soundstage EDU. This show exists for the people behind the programs. The parents, the directors, the volunteers, the ones carrying things that most people never see. We talk about the real stuff here. Booster culture, leadership, burnout, governance, and what it actually takes to build something that lasts for the kids. So if you're in it, you're in the right place. But before we jump in, just a couple of quick things. If this show has helped you, even once, follow it, save it, come back to it. There are a lot of episodes here, and chances are something you're dealing with right now, we've probably already talked about it. And if you know someone else in your program, another parent, board member, or director who's in the middle of it with you, share this with them. Because these conversations, well, they hit different when you're not the only one hearing them. All right. Let's get into it. So today is a little bit different. This one is for the drum corps parents. More specifically, this one is for the parents who just sent their kid off for their very first summer of drum corps. Maybe by the time you got this or you're hearing this, maybe it was about a month ago. But it's close. We're close to that time, right? Maybe you dropped them off at a world class. Maybe it was open class. Maybe it's sound sport. Maybe it's their first time ever being away from home for more than a few days. Maybe they're 17. Maybe they're 19. Maybe they're 15. Maybe they're still technically your kid living in your house, eating your food, leaving socks in places that socks probably shouldn't be left. But this summer, they're gone. Not just physically gone, but they're stepping into something that will literally change the way that they see themselves. And when they come back, I need you to be ready. Because that kid that you dropped off at spring training may not be the exact same kid who walks back through your front door at the end of the summer. And I need you to hear me. That's not a bad thing. But as a parent, it can feel confusing if you're not prepared for it. I know that because I was that kid. And when I came home, my parents did not know what happened to me. They loved me, they cared about me, they were proud of me, sure. But they didn't understand where my mind was when I came back home. They didn't understand the world that I just lived in. They didn't understand why home suddenly felt different to me. And now that made it feel different to you. They didn't understand why I was quiet, or why I was restless, why I seemed both exhausted and wired at the same time. Why I missed people so profoundly that I had only known for a summer and now treat them and revere them as if they were family. They didn't understand why I couldn't explain the experience without either sounding dramatic or just going completely silent. They didn't understand that I'd just spent an entire summer with people who saw me at my absolute worst. But they also saw me at my absolute best. And in that time, they saw every version of me in between. I spent time with people who saw me sweaty, sunburned, frustrated, hungry, hurt, homesick, deliriously tired, laughing until I cried, crying when I didn't want anyone to see it, and still getting back on that field the next day. That does something to a person. Drum corps does not just give your kid a summer activity. It gives them a whole new world. And then, almost overnight, that entire world just disappears. One day they're on a bus surrounded by their closest friends, sleeping in gyms, cracking jokes, eating meals on a schedule, endless rounds of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, rehearsing from morning until night, living inside of a shared mission that everyone there understands. And then suddenly, they're home. Back in their bedroom, back at the dinner table, back in the normal rhythms of life, plugged back into family life, back into a world where everyone in it keeps asking, hey, how was it? And that question is almost impossible to answer. Because how do you explain it? How do you explain what it feels like to stand under stadium lights after pushing yourself past every limit that you thought you ever had? How do you explain the sound of your core around you when you know the season is almost over? How do you explain what it's like to look across the gym floor at 2 o'clock in the morning and realize that these exhausted, smelly, ridiculous people have become some of the most important people in your life? How do you explain the inside jokes, the bus talks, the hard days, the breakthroughs, the constant show changes, the silent moments, the pain, the pride, the blisters, the grief of finals week, and the strange ache of knowing it's ending before you're ready? You don't. Not right away, anyway. So parents, when they come home and they seem different, please don't panic. When they're quieter than usual, don't assume that something's wrong. When they want to sleep for what feels like 3 days to you, let them do it. When they seem emotionally distant, understand that part of them may still be somewhere on the road. Part of them may still be on that bus. Part of them may still be standing in a lot somewhere, hearing the staff call them in. In their mind, they may still be looking for the people they just spent every waking hour with. And that reintegration into normal life, it can be hard. Really hard. Because drum corps gave them a level of independence that most kids their age have never, ever experienced. They learn how to function without you solving everything for them. They learn how to be responsible for their body, their stuff, their dot, their music, their attitude, their section, and all the people around them. They learn how to fail in public and recover. They learn how to be corrected all day long and still show up again tomorrow. They learn what it needs to be needed. They learn what it means to belong. And then they come home. And sometimes home still sees them as the same kid who left. But they don't feel like the same kid. And that tension can be awfully uncomfortable. For them and for you. Because you may want to return to normal. And now they've come back. And they may not know what normal is anymore. You may want stories, and they may not have words yet. You want to reconnect, and they might be grieving. And yes, I said grieving. I want to stay there for a second, because that grief is real. It's profound. And I know that sounds strange if you've never lived inside something like this. From the outside, people may say it was just a summer. They may say, you're home now. They may say, you'll see those people again sometime. I mean, they may say all the reasonable things that people say when they're trying to make something feel smaller than what it actually is. But I need you to understand that some things are not small just because they were temporary. Some things change you because they were temporary. Because you knew, even while you were living it, that it could not last forever. And I can tell you personally, that grief doesn't always go away. By the time you're hearing this, I'm 50 years old. 50! Happened on July 7th. And if for whatever reason you're listening to this years down the road, I turned 50 on July 7th, 2026. I've lived an entire life since those summers. I have a family. 2 kids and a dog and a wife. I have responsibilities. I have a job. I've built careers and communities and a whole lot of stories that have nothing to do with drum corps. And still, not long ago, I was watching a documentary that followed 15 kids through their entire drum corps season. I don't remember what it was called. This is doom scrolling when I found it. But I was watching these kids go through the rehearsals, the exhaustion, the bonding, the pressure, the performances, the little moments behind the scenes that only make sense if you've lived it. And then they interviewed one of the kids after the season was over, once they were back home. And it got me. It brought it all back. And not in a cute, nostalgic type of way. Not in a remember when kind of way. It hit something deeper, which motivated me to record this for you guys tonight. Because I saw that kid trying to explain what it felt like to come home. And suddenly, I remembered being that kid. I remembered the silence after the noise. I remembered the strange emptiness after living every day with purpose and people and movement and sound. I remembered missing people so badly that it almost felt unreasonable. And in that moment, I realized something I don't think that I'd fully ever admitted before. The grief was still there. After all these years, it was still there. I still miss that version of myself. I miss the kid who was tired and sunburned and hungry, yet completely alive. I miss the ensemble. I miss that sound. I miss the mission. I miss those people. I miss the version of us that only existed in that one season, in that one place, at that one time. And that is part of what makes drum corps so hard to explain. You're not just missing an activity. You're missing a world. And you were missing who you were inside of that world. And when your kid comes home carrying that kind of grief, they may not have the language for it yet. They may not even know that grief is what they're feeling. They may just feel off, heavy, restless, disconnected, homesick for a place that no longer exists in the same way. So when I say they may be grieving, I don't mean that they're being dramatic. I mean, they may be experiencing the first real loss of a life-changing community. And they need someone at home who understands that this matters. Because the end of a drum corps season can absolutely feel like grief. It sounds dramatic to people who have not lived it. But it's real. They're grieving the routine. They're grieving the people. They're grieving the version of themselves that only existed inside of that summer. They're grieving the fact that something so intense, so consuming, so formative just ended. And the rest of the world doesn't stop to honor that. The mail still comes, school still starts again. Work schedules resume, family routines continue. Somebody still has to unload the dishwasher. And suddenly, this kid who's been living inside of this extraordinary, demanding, emotionally charged world is being asked to come home and be normal again. And my friends, that's a lot. So here's my encouragement to the parents. Something I wish that my parents had known. Something I wish that the community around me back home understood. Don't rush them back into who they were before they left. Okay? Make room for who they are becoming. Don't take it personally if they seem distracted. Do not compete with the core family. That one's important. Don't compete with the core family. Those relationships, they don't replace you. They don't erase you. They don't mean that your child loves you less. But those relationships that they formed during that experience are very, very real. And they are deep. And they were forged in a way that is hard to understand from the outside. So when your kid keeps talking about the same 3 people from tour, listen to them. When they light up because someone from the core texted them, let them have that joy. When they want to drive across the state to see someone they marched with for 2 months, understand that those bonds may matter more than you ever expected. Because those people were there when your kid changed. And sometimes that means they'll understand parts of your child that you have not met yet. And as a parent, that can sting a little bit. I know. I have kids too. I have not lived this personally yet, but I was on the other side of it. I know as a parent that that will sting if that happens. But I need you to understand that that is not rejection. If anything, it's growth. And growth is beautiful. Even when it creates distance for a while. Your job, when they come home, is not to pull them back. Your job is to make home a safe place for them to land. Not a place where they have to explain everything perfectly. Not a place where they have to perform gratitude on command. Not a place where they're interrogated because they seem different. But just a place where they can land. Feed them. Let them sleep. Let them tell the stories out of order. Let them repeat the same story 12 times. Let them go quiet when they realize a story only makes sense if you were there. Heck, let them cry if they need to. Let them miss it. Let them be proud. Let them be annoying about it, because they might be. They might come home with stronger opinions. They might come home with a mouth you weren't expecting. They might suddenly care about how every ensemble rehearses. They might critique posture at the grocery store. They might say things like, well, that's not how we did it in core. You may have to take a deep breath and remember, I promise you, they're not trying to be insufferable. They're trying to integrate a new standard into an old life. And that takes time. And for the parents whose kids still live at home, this may be the first time that you really feel that shift. The shift from managing them to guiding them. The shift from protecting them from hard things to recognizing that they've survived hard things now without you there. There may be a shift from seeing them as your child to seeing the first real outline of the adult that they're becoming. That can be emotional. It should be. Because while they were out there changing, you were changing too. You were learning what it feels like to let them go. You were learning how to cheer from a distance. You were learning how to trust other adults, other systems, other mentors, other communities to care for your kid when you could not be there for them. That's not easy. So give yourself some grace too. You may not get it exactly right when they come home. You may ask too many questions, or you may not even ask enough. You might feel hurt when they disappear into their phone to talk to the core friends instead of sitting with the family. You might feel proud and sad at the same time, and that's completely normal. This is a transition for everyone, but please hear me when I say this. When they come home different, it doesn't mean you lost them. It may mean that they found something. They found capacity. They found resilience. They found discipline. They found a version of themselves that they did not know even existed. They found people who helped pull that version out of them. And now they have to figure out how to bring that version of themselves home. That's the work after tour. The buses stop, the uniforms get turned in, the equipment truck gets unloaded for the last time. The season video gets watched too many times. The group chats keep buzzing. Tan lines fade, the bruises heal. Those inside jokes slowly become memories. But the change? That stays. So parents, when your drum corps kid comes home, don't just ask, "Hey, did you have fun?" Ask better questions. Ask, what part of the summer are you still thinking about? Who helped you get through the hard days? What did you learn about yourself? What do you miss most right now? And ask, do you want to talk about it? Or do you just want food and silence? That last one, that might be the winner. And when they do talk, listen longer than feels natural. Don't try to fix the sadness. Don't minimize the exhaustion. Don't say, well, at least you're home now. I mean, as if home automatically resolves everything. I mean, home's good. It's needed. But home is also an adjustment because home's changed. And they may need some time to feel fully present again. They may be processing that experience for weeks, months, honestly, maybe until they go back again. And honestly, some of us are still processing it decades later. I still think about it. I still carry it. I didn't realize that until tonight when I watched that documentary, how much of that is still inside of me. Some of my closest friends in this life are people I met because of drum corps. Not because we casually shared an activity, but because we survived something together. We built something together. We gave everything we had to something that existed for one summer and then disappeared into a memory. That kind of thing marks you. And when your kid comes home marked by something meaningful, don't be afraid of that. Honor it. Make space for it. Let it become part of the family story. Because your child did not just go away for the summer. They stepped into a larger world. And now they're bringing pieces of that world back home. So be patient. Be curious. Be gentle. And when they seem far away, remember this. They're not trying to leave you behind. They're trying to understand who they became while they were gone. And if you give them room, if you stay steady, if you become a safe place for the stories, the silence, the sadness, the pride, and the weird post-tour emotional fog, they will let you in. Maybe not all at once, and maybe not in the way that you expected, but they will. Because they still need you. It's just different now, and that's okay. That's growing up. That's what the arts do. That's what this activity does. It takes these kids and it pushes them, stretches them. It surrounds them with people chasing the same impossible thing, and then sends them home with more inside of them than they had when they left. So when they come home different, take a breath. Look closer. That difference might be the beginning of something beautiful. This is Soundstage EDU. And as always, let's raise the bar together. If this episode helped you understand your kid just a little bit better, share it with another drum corps parent who may need it, who may not quite understand what's coming next, or who may not have found us yet. And also share this with people who love a drum corps kid and are trying to understand what comes next when they come home. And if you're looking for more parent support, booster leadership, and marching arts education, pay us a visit at soundstageedu.com.